See this useless mob carrier, Ibizilizi. Poverty has finally exposed your true character. Kneel down and confess.
Kneel down and confess.
Niyi Alo's lips trembled, but he did not kneel. "Sir," he said quietly, "that bank token was disabled 11 days ago. So why was it planted in my cart this morning?" The entire hall went dead silent, and when Niyi turned toward the only woman who had seen Bode near the staff lockers the previous night, she lowered her eyes. Do not leave this story halfway, because the man they threw out like rubbish would return through the same doors with the power to decide who remained inside. Comment your location and local time below, and subscribe now, because what happened next shook the whole company. 3 weeks earlier, Niyi Coker had been awake since 4:38 in the morning. His room in Igeji was narrow enough for him to touch both walls if he stretched his arms. One wall carried a fading water stain shaped like the map of Africa. The other held a wooden shelf with 4 accounting textbooks, a chipped mug, and a framed photograph of his parents taken before illness and debt entered their home. He stood before that photograph every morning, not to pray for money, not even to ask for favor. He simply said, "I am still trying." That Monday, he wore the orange Crestline polo shirt issued to cleaning staff. The collar had gone soft from too many washes. His navy trousers had been repaired twice at the knee. He polished his black work shoes until they looked better than they were. By 5:22, he was inside a Danfo bus, crawling toward Ikeja. The conductor shouted destinations through the open door. Someone Alo's elbow pressed against Niyi Alo's ribs. A woman carrying a tray of bread complained that the driver was moving like a tired goat. Lagos was already hot, already impatient, already demanding payment from everybody. Niyi held his backpack against his chest. Inside it were 2 notebooks. One belonged to his evening accounting class. The other was the cleaning logbook nobody at Crestline respected. Niyi had started keeping the logbook after Ronke once accused him of failing to clean a director Alo's office. He had cleaned it at 9:16 p.m. the previous night, but another staff member entered later and spilled coffee beside the desk. Ronke wrote a warning letter anyway. From that day, Niyi recorded everything. Time entered. Time finished. Broken equipment, unusual smells, doors left open, items found and handed over. He wrote because poor people were expected to remember every detail, while rich people were allowed to forget anything that embarrassed them. Crestline Medical Distribution plc stood behind a high gate in Ikeja. Its glass frontage reflected the morning sky. The company supplied gloves, syringes, test strips, masks, and other medical consumables to private clinics across Lagos and neighboring states. Visitors saw polished floors. Staff saw departments. Niyi saw what people dropped when they believed nobody important was watching. He resumed at 6:07 a.m. The security officer at the gate glanced at his bag, then waved him through. "Morning, Niyi. Morning, Oga. Hope no problem? No problem, we are managing." That was how many Lagos conversations began and ended. We are managing. It could mean I am well. It could mean I am suffering. It could mean there is no time to explain. By 6:20, Niyi was wiping the reception desk. At 6:47, he cleaned the ground floor corridor. At 7:03, he pushed his cart toward the procurement wing. Bode Adebayo Alo's office stood at the far end. The door was locked, but the air conditioner above it was leaking into a plastic bowl placed on the floor. Niyi bent to empty the bowl and saw 3 cartons beside the wall. They were labeled surgical examination gloves, same brand, same size, same lot number, but the delivery stickers showed 3 different dates. Niyi stared. He had spent almost 2 years studying accounting before his father, Alo's kidney treatment, consumed the family savings. After his father died, His mother struggled with hypertension. 11 months later, she too was gone. Niyi left school with unpaid fees, a box of books, and one lesson life repeated without mercy. Numbers did not become honest because powerful people wrote them. He copied the lot number into his cleaning logbook, lot 7K4419. Then he wrote the delivery dates. June 3, June 10, June 16. He did not touch the cartons. He did not open them. He moved his bucket and continued working. At 7:28, Bode arrived in a dark green suit with a ruby tie. His shoes announced him before his voice did. "Why are you squeezing your face near my office?" he asked. Niyi straightened. "Good morning, sir. The air conditioner is leaking again. I came to empty the bowl." Bode looked at the bowl, then at Niyi. "How many times will cleaners use small work to create big importance? Empty it and disappear. This place is procurement, not a night school for ambitious beggars." "Yes, sir, and do not touch those cartons." "I did not touch them, sir." Bode Allo's eyes stayed on him for 1 second too long. Niyi noticed, so did Bode. The senior managers began arriving. Perfume replaced disinfectant in the corridor. Laptops opened. Phones rang. The company woke up. At 8:05, Ronka Balagan came through reception in a red blazer, carrying a leather folder against her side. She was head of human resources, but many workers called her human removal when she was not around. Ronka could smile while ending a person Allo's salary. That was her gift. She stopped beside Niyi as he mopped near the lift. "Why is this floor still wet?" "Ma, I just finished this section. The warning sign is there. Do you expect directors to jump over your sign like goats?" "No, Ma." "Then use your brain. You cleaners behave as if common sense is not included in your wages." Niyi moved the sign closer to the wet patch. Ronke watched him. "Your uniform is fading." "Yes, Ma. I have submitted a replacement request." "I know. I rejected it." Niyi looked up. "Why, Ma?" "Because Crestline is not your father Allo's house. Wear what you have until the next allocation. Poor people are becoming too particular these days." She entered the lift. The doors closed on her perfume. Niyi went back to work. At 11:54, he cleaned the small meeting room beside internal audit. Through the partly open door next to it, he heard Halima George arguing softly with somebody on the phone. "The amount is not matching, sir. I have checked it twice." A pause. "No, sir. I am not accusing anybody. I am saying the vendor file is incomplete." Another pause. Halima lowered her voice. "I understand. I will wait." When she ended the call, she saw Niyi through the doorway. Halima was 27. She wore a pale teal blouse and cream trousers. She carried herself carefully, like a person who had learned that one wrong sentence in an office could travel faster than 10 years of good work. "Hope no problem?" she asked. "No problem, Ma. I am cleaning the meeting room." "You can call me Halima." Niyi smiled faintly. "Human resources may sack me for equality." Halima laughed before she could stop herself. Then she lowered her voice. "You did not hear anything from my call, Abai. I heard you say the amount was not matching. I do not know the amount." She studied him. "You always answer exactly. It is safer." Niyi finished wiping the table. As he lifted the waste bin, a folded paper slid from beneath the chair. He picked it up. It was a printed invoice summary. North Bay Clinical Resources. Replacement of 6 industrial air conditioning units. Total, 14,820,000. Niyi looked at the leaking unit outside Bodilo's office. He placed the paper on the table. "Halima." She turned. "This company paid to replace 6 air conditioners?" Her expression changed. "Why are you asking? Because only 2 were replaced. I helped the technicians carry the old units. It was on May 9. They brought 2 new units, not 6. Halima walked over quickly and picked up the paper. "Are you sure?" "I recorded it. In what?" My cleaning logbook. Halima almost smiled. Then she saw he was serious. You record technicians? I record anybody who enters the area after closing time. If something disappears, cleaners are the first suspects. That sentence stayed between them. Halima held out her hand. May I see? Niyi hesitated. The logbook was not company property. It was his protection. Once a person in management held something belonging to a cleaner, ownership became a matter of confidence. He opened the book himself. May 9, 8:41 p.m. 2 technicians from Cool Axis Services entered procurement corridor, removed 2 old units, installed 2 new units. Work ended 11:26 p.m. 1 unit above Mr. Adebayo Alo's office, still leaking after test. Reported to maintenance. Halima read it twice. Who signed them out? The security officer on duty. Did you see any other units delivered? No. Maybe they replaced units on another floor. Maybe. You do not sound convinced. I am only saying what I saw. Halima closed the book gently. Can you send me a photograph of this page? Niyi Alo's hand tightened around the cover. For what purpose? Internal review. Will my name enter the review? Not unless necessary. For who? Halima had no answer ready. That made Niyi trust her slightly more. Honest uncertainty was better than a smooth lie. I will send it, he said. But I want to know before my name is used, I promise. At 1:12 p.m., he sent the photograph. At 3:40, Halima checked the vendor file for Cool Axis Services. The registration number belonged to a company dissolved 4 years earlier. The bank account receiving payment had been opened only 7 months ago. She checked North Bay Clinical Resources. Its office address was written as Suite 14, 28, Adeniyi Jones Avenue. Another approved vendor, Bay North Health Logistics, used Suite 14B, 28 Adeniyi Jones Avenue. Their phone numbers differed by 1 digit. Halima pulled more files. The deeper she looked, the quieter the office became. By 5:18, she had identified 48. 7 million in payments requiring explanation. She printed a preliminary exception report and locked it inside her drawer. At 5:46, she emailed her supervisor requesting a confidential meeting. At 6:02, Bode received a forwarded copy of that email. He sat alone in his office while the leaking air conditioner dropped water into the bowl 1 drop. Then another. Then another. He called Ronke. Come upstairs. She entered 6 minutes later. Bode did not offer her a chair. Internal audit has started looking at North Bay. Ronke Alo's face tightened. How? The cleaner. Niyi, he keeps records. Ronke stared. Then she laughed once. A cleaner is auditing procurement now? Do not be foolish. A match can burn a warehouse whether it came from a rich man or a poor man. What exactly does he have? I do not know yet. Ronke placed her folder on the desk. We can transfer him and leave his records behind. We can dismiss him for insubordination. Then he will run to the labor office with his notebook. Ronke leaned closer. What do you want? Bode looked through the glass wall toward the corridor. Niyi cleaned every night. I wanted everybody to stop asking what the cleaner saw. He turned back to her and start asking what the cleaner stole. The next morning, Niyi found a new duty roster pinned to the cleaner's Alo notice board. His name had been moved from the early shift to permanent night duty, 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. No rotation, no explanation. He went to Human Resources at 8:30. Ronke kept him standing while she signed documents. I want to ask about my shift. What about it? I attend classes 3 evenings each week, then stop attending. Niyi blinked. Crestline did not employ a student. We employed a cleaner. My classes were disclosed when I joined. And your employment letter says shifts may change according to operational needs. Why only me? Ronke looked up slowly. Because I chose you. There was no policy in her voice, only power. Niyi kept his own voice calm. Can the shift rotate after 1 month? Do not negotiate with me as if we are in Balogun Market. If night duty is too big for you, resign. There are 50 men outside this gate who will carry your mop with gratitude. Niyi said nothing. Ronke smiled. That is better. Know your level before your ambition pushes you inside an office that does not belong to you. He left. That evening, he called his course coordinator and moved 2 classes to Saturday. The 3rd class had no weekend option. He would lose it. He sat on the edge of his bed after the call. The photograph of his parents watched him. I am still trying, he whispered. But for the first time, the words sounded tired. Night duty changed the building. During the day, Crestline was noise and movement. At night, every sound had space around it. The lift cables hummed. Fluorescent lights buzzed. A dropped key could be heard from the opposite end of a corridor. Niyi worked alone in procurement after 10:00 p.m. On his first night, he noticed the lock on the document store had fresh scratches. On the 2nd, he found 2 empty cartons behind the loading bay staircase. On the 3rd, at exactly 2:17 a.m., the side warehouse door opened. Niyi was cleaning the staff kitchen when he heard the alarm chime once, then stop. He stepped into the corridor. A man in a delivery jacket pushed a trolley carrying 4 sealed cartons. Bode walked behind him, wearing no tie and holding his phone. Both men froze when they saw Niyi. Bode recovered first. What are you looking at? Nothing, sir. Then face your work. Yes, sir. Niyi turned away, but he heard Bode say, take them to the old records room. There was no scheduled delivery. He recorded the time. The following afternoon, Halima messaged him. Can we speak after work? Private, Niyi replied. I now work night shift. She sent another message. Come by 5:30 before others leave. At 5:27, Niyi entered the internal audit office. Halima closed the door. I checked the invoices, she said. There are serious irregularities. How serious? At least 48 million naira, from what I have seen, maybe more. Niyi exhaled. The gloves too? What gloves? He told her about lot 7K4419. Halima wrote it down. Who else knows you told me? I do not know. Did anybody change how they treat you? Niyi almost laughed. How will I measure the difference? I am serious. My shift changed. Ronka told me to stop school. Bode watches me whenever I pass his office. Halima Alo's face hardened. I have requested access logs and bank confirmation. Do not confront anybody. I have not confronted anybody. Keep your notebook safe. I carry it home. Good. What happens next? I prepare a report. My supervisor reviews it. If the evidence is strong, it goes to the audit committee. And Bode? He should not see it before the committee. Niyi looked at her. Should not? Halima understood his question. She lowered her voice. Niyi, offices have written procedures and unwritten roads. Sometimes information reaches people before it reaches the place it is going. Then, what is the value of the procedure? To give us something to defend when people try to break it. He considered that. Will you defend it? Halima held his eyes. I intend to. Intention was not courage, but it was not nothing. After Niyi left, Halima printed a fresh copy of her report and placed it in a plain envelope. She wrote only one word on the front, confidential. At 6:11, she carried it toward the executive floor. Bode stepped out of the lift. Halima. She stopped. He smiled. You are working late. Just finishing a report, sir. What report? Routine audit work. Routine work should not make your hand shake. Halima looked down. The envelope was trembling slightly between her fingers. Bode Alo's smile widened. Come to my office. I need to submit this first. To whom? My supervisor. Your supervisor has gone home. I can leave it on his desk. Bode stepped closer. Halima, your contract renewal is next month, correct? Her throat tightened. Yes, sir. And your mother still receives treatment at that clinic in Surulere. Halima Allo's face changed. Bode Allo's voice remained soft. Do not look frightened. I approve the staff health support list. I am only showing concern. He extended his hand toward the envelope. Let me help you carry your routine report. Halima did not give it to him. For 3 seconds they stood in the quiet corridor. Then the lift opened behind Bode. 2 managers stepped out, talking loudly. Halima moved past him. Good evening, sir. She walked quickly to her supervisor Allo's office and slid the envelope under the locked door. Bode watched her go. That night at 9:42, Halima returned because she had forgotten her phone charger. The building was mostly empty. As she approached the staff corridor, she saw Bode standing near the cleaners' lockers. He was not alone. Ronki stood beside him holding a small key. Halima stopped behind the corner. Bode tried the key in a locker door. It did not turn, Ronki whispered. This is the copy maintenance gave me. Then they copied the wrong one. I will fix it tomorrow. Bode glanced down the corridor. Halima stepped back before he could see her. Her heart struck her ribs. She waited until their footsteps faded. Then she left the building without collecting her charger. At 10:06, she sat inside a taxi and opened Niyi Coker's number. Her thumb hovered over the call button. She imagined telling him. She imagined Bode ending her contract. She imagined her mother Elo's clinic bill. She imagined being called disloyal, troublesome, unprofessional. The taxi moved into traffic. Halima locked her phone. The next morning, Ronke signed a maintenance request. Duplicate locker key required for chemical safety inspection. Employee, Niyi Coker. Reason, urgent. She signed at the bottom. Then she called Bode. It will be ready by 4. Bode leaned back in his chair. On his desk lay the silver bank token assigned to procurement payments. It had been disabled 11 days earlier after the finance department issued a replacement. Beside it sat a brown envelope containing 873,500 naira. Not 1 naira more. Not 1 naira less. Bode touched the envelope. By tomorrow morning, he said. Nobody will remember his notebook. The duplicate key was collected at 4:18 that afternoon. Ronki signed for it herself. By 6:30, most employees had left. Niyi arrived for night duty, carrying a plastic food container and his backpack. He greeted the security officer, changed into his work shoes, and placed his personal belongings inside locker number 27. The cleaning logbook stayed in his bag. That decision saved it. At 7:05, Ronke summoned him to Human Resources. She sat behind her desk with 2 documents arranged neatly before her, read and sign. Niyi picked up the first page. It accused him of entering the procurement archive without authorization 3 nights earlier. He looked at Ronke. I did not enter the archive. Do a scene near it. I clean the corridor near it. That is what thieves say when they are studying a door. Niyi placed the paper down. Who saw me enter? This is not a courtroom, no ma. But you are asking me to sign that I entered. I am asking you to acknowledge receipt of a warning. The warning says I admitted entering. Ronke Allo's eyes narrowed. Are you teaching Human Resources how to write a memo? I am asking you to remove a statement that is not true. She pushed the second document toward him. It accused him of threatening a senior manager during a disagreement about cleaning supplies. Niyi read every line. The alleged disagreement had never happened. I cannot sign this one either. Ronke folded her hands. You see why educated poverty is dangerous. Ordinary cleaner, but every sentence must become a debate. You think because you attend one small evening class, you can sit across from me and analyze documents. I am not debating my job, Ma. I am protecting my name. Your name. Ronke laughed. Which name? The name on a faded uniform? The name your landlord will forget 1 week after you leave his room. Do not carry yourself on your head. Crestline gave your name meaning when we put it on an identity card. Niyi looked at the card hanging from his neck, then he looked back at her. My parents gave me my name. The smile left Ronke Arlo's face. Sign. No, Ma. She wrote something at the bottom of both pages. Employee refused to cooperate. You may go. Niyi stood. At the door, Ronke spoke again. Be careful tonight. He turned. She smiled. There have been complaints about missing items. Niyi left without answering. At 8:13, he sent Halima a message. HR created 2 false warnings. Something is happening. The message showed delivered. No reply came. Halima had spent the day trying to speak with her supervisor. He avoided her twice, then called her into his office at 4:50. He did not ask about the invoices. He spoke about attitude. Senior management says, you are becoming too aggressive in your reviews. I identified duplicate payments and questionable vendors. Questionable to you. The company registration details do not match. Then ask procurement politely. I requested supporting documents. They have not provided them. Her supervisor removed his glasses. Halima, you are on contract. Learn the difference between doing your job and setting fire to the building where you work. So I should ignore 48 million naira. I did not say ignore it. I said proceed carefully. What does carefully mean? It means wait. For what? For instruction. Halima stared at him. The report she had pushed under his door was no longer on his desk. Did you read my report? He put his glasses back on. This meeting is over. When Halima saw Niyi Alo's message at 8:15, fear and shame rose together in her chest. She typed a reply. Do not leave your bag unattended. I saw Bode near the lockers last night. She stared at the words, then deleted them. She typed again. Keep copies of everything. That sounded weak. She deleted that too. At 9:03, Ronke returned to the building with Bode. The security register recorded their entry because the officer at the gate insisted every after-hours visit must be signed. Bode wrote that he had come for an emergency board document. Ronke wrote that she was supporting him. At 9:17, they walked to the staff corridor. Niyi was cleaning the second floor. Ronke opened locker 27. Inside were a folded shirt, a pair of sandals, 1 accounting textbook, and a packet of gari tied with rubber band. Bode looked disgusted. This is how these people live. Ronke ignored him. Where do we put it? The token in the side pocket of his cleaning cart. The money inside the chemical box. What about the invoices? Under the rags. Enough to look careless, not arranged. Ronke held the envelope. What if the police ask where the cash came from? They will ask him first. And if they ask us? Bode Elo's voice became cold. Are you losing confidence now? I am thinking ahead. Then think about the payroll irregularities you approved last quarter. Ronke froze. Bode stepped closer. We are already inside the same canoe. Do not start complaining about water. She looked away. They placed the items exactly where Bode had planned. At 9:31, they left the corridor. At 9:42, Halima entered through the side door to collect documents she had forgotten deliberately. She wanted proof that Bode and Ronke were still moving around after hours. She saw Bode near the lockers again. This time, he was closing Niyi Alo's cleaning cart. Ronke stood beside him. Halima stopped behind the same corner as the previous night. Bode looked up. For one terrible second, Halima thought he had seen her. He had not. A phone rang inside Ronke Ilo's bag. She silenced it quickly. Both of them walked away. Halima waited, then she moved toward the cart. Her hand reached for the side pocket. Footsteps sounded from the stairwell. Niyi was coming down. Halima stepped back. She could have told him then. She could have pointed to the cart. She could have called security and demanded witnesses before anybody touched it. Instead, fear took control of her legs. She walked through the fire exit and left. Niyi reached the corridor 30 seconds later. He noticed nothing unusual. He pushed the cart toward the executive floor. At 2:54 a.m., he completed his shift. The night security officer checked his backpack, as instructed by Ronke, but did not search the cleaning cart because it belonged to the company. Niyi changed shoes, took his logbook, and went home. At 6:40, Ronke arrived before nearly everybody else. At 7:05, she instructed the security manager to attend a staff integrity briefing at 8. At 7:22, Bode ordered every employee to gather in the conference hall. At 7:56, Niyi returned because night staff had been told attendance was compulsory. He had slept for less than 2 hours. The conference hall filled slowly. Chairs scraped, people whispered. Some thought the company was announcing bonuses. Others feared layoffs. Ronke stood beside Niyi's cleaning cart, which had been brought from the supply room. That was the first thing he found strange. "Why is my cart here?" he asked a cleaner beside him. The man shifted away. "I do not know." At exactly 8:13, Ronke shouted. "Thief!" Then she kicked the bucket aside. Dirty water spread across the marble floor. The silver token struck the ground first. Then the invoices. Then the brown envelope split open, and Naira notes scattered under the front row of chairs. The sound people made was not one sound. It was shock, excitement, relief, and fear mixed together. Because in every public accusation, some people are horrified. Some are entertained. And some are grateful it is not their name being shouted. Bode stepped forward. "See this useless mop carrier? Poverty has finally exposed your true character. Kneel down and confess before we hand you to the police." Niyi stared at the money. He did not move. Ronke removed his identity card from his neck. "Your access ends now. Ma, I did not put those things there. Of course. The money entered your cart because it wanted free transport." A few managers laughed. Bode pointed at Niyi. "You have been sneaking around procurement, copying confidential documents and pretending to clean. Have you ever held 800,000 naira in your life? The first time money greeted you, your orphan hunger swallowed your sense." Niyi Alo's face changed at the word orphan. Bode saw it and continued. "No father to teach you honesty. No mother to warn you. Crestline gave you work, and you repaid us by stealing like a rat hiding inside a detergent store." The hall became still. Even people who believed Niyi was guilty looked uncomfortable. Niyi bent and picked up the silver token. "Do not touch evidence," Ronke shouted. He turned it over. A small sticker showed an asset code and cancellation date. "Sir," Niyi said quietly, "this bank token was disabled 11 days ago. So why was it planted in my cart this morning?" The entire hall went dead silent. Bode Alo's eyes flickered, only once, but Niyi saw it. Ronke snatched the token from his hand. "Do not manipulate company property. I am reading the label. You are trying to confuse people." Niyi looked toward Halima. She stood near the side wall in her pale teal blouse. Her face had lost color. Their eyes met. Niyi saw the truth before she spoke. She knew something. "Halima," he said, "did you see anybody near my cart last night?" 186 employees turned toward her. Halima Alo's lips parted. Bode looked at her, not with anger, with warning. She thought of her mother Alo's clinic card. She thought of her unsigned contract renewal. She thought of the way truth could destroy the person carrying it before it reached the person it was meant to save. Halima lowered her eyes. I did not see clearly, she whispered. Niyi stood very still. That hurt more than Bode Alo's insults, because cruelty from an enemy is expected. Silence from a witness has a different blade. Ronk signaled security. 2 officers moved toward Niyi. He raised both hands. I will not fight. Bode laughed. Hear the thief forming dignity. Niyi turned to the employees. Before anybody touches this cart again, write down who has touched it. Seal the money. Check the access records. Check when the token was disabled. Check who signed for the cash. Ronki stepped between him and the crowd. You do not give instructions here. I am asking for a proper investigation. You lost that right when you stole from your employer. A person does not lose his rights because you shouted first. A murmur moved through the hall. Ronki slapped him. The sound bounced off the walls. Niyi Alo's head turned with the force. Nobody moved. Ronki Alo's breathing became heavy. Take him out! Niyi faced her again. His cheekbone turned red. He did not raise his voice. You have added your hand to the evidence, Ma. The security officers held his arms. As they led him away, 1 naira note clung wetly to the sole of Bode Alo's shoe. He did not notice. Niyi did. At the gate, police officers waited beside a van. Ronke handed them a typed complaint already prepared and signed. The time printed on it was 7:30 a.m., 43 minutes before the money was publicly discovered. Niyi saw the timestamp as an officer folded the paper. He stored it in his memory. The police searched him. They found Porter 1, 240 in his wallet, his student identity card, a house key, and the cleaning logbook inside his backpack. Bode reached for the notebook. This is company evidence. Niyi pulled it against his chest. It is my personal book. The police officer looked between them. What is inside? My work. Notes, Bode said. Records of what he planned to steal. Niyi opened to the first page. His name was written inside. Receipts for the notebooks were stapled at the back. The officer took it from him. I will keep it with his personal property. Bode Alo's jaw tightened. The van door closed. Niyi sat on a metal bench between 2 other detained men. As Crestline Alo's glass building disappeared behind them, he looked at his hands. They smelled of bleach. He had spent 18 months cleaning other people Alo's dirt. That morning, they used his uniform to make their dirt look like his. At the station, he repeated the same account 5 times. He said he had reported suspicious invoices. He said his shift had changed. He said false warning letters were created. He said the bank token carried a cancellation date. He said the complaint had been typed before the public search. The officer taking his statement stopped writing. You noticed the time on the complaint? Yes. You saw it for how long? About 2 seconds. And you remember? I keep records. The officer looked at the cleaning logbook sealed inside a clear property bag. So I see. Crestline Alo's lawyers arrived by noon. They demanded prosecution for theft, unlawful possession of corporate documents, and suspected fraud. But the case had problems from the beginning. Nobody had photographed the cart before Ronke overturned it. The money had been touched by employees in the front row. Bode picked up several notes. Ronke handled the token. The invoices were passed between managers. No record showed when the items entered the cart. The cart had been stored in an unlocked supply room after Niyi left. The security cameras in the staff corridor had stopped recording at 8:56 the previous night. The maintenance ticket for the camera fault was opened at 10:11 p.m. More than an hour after the recording stopped. Niyi remained in custody for 48 hours. He slept sitting against a wall. He missed 2 classes. He ate 1 plate of rice somebody from the station bought after he said he had no family to call. When he was released, no charge had been filed. The officer returned his backpack and logbook. The company may still continue the complaint, the officer said. But this evidence is not clean. Niyi almost laughed at the word clean. Outside, rain had started. He stood beneath the station awning with nowhere urgent to go. His phone contained 23 missed calls. 4 were from classmates. 2 were from his landlord. The rest came from numbers he did not recognize. Someone had posted a video of the conference hall online. It showed the money falling. It showed Bode calling him a thief. It did not show the cancellation label on the token. It did not show the pre-typed complaint. It did not show Ronchiello's slap clearly. The caption read, "Orphan cleaner caught stealing nearly 1 million naira from medical company." By evening, the video had been shared more than 17,000 times. Truth was still writing a statement. The lie had already entered traffic. Niyi returned to his room at 6:44 p.m. His landlord waited outside. "Niyi, hope no problem." The question no longer sounded kind. "I was released, I heard. They did not charge me. I heard that too. Then, what is it?" The landlord scratched his chin. "Other tenants are complaining. They say police may come here. They say their property is not safe. I have never stolen anything in this house." "I did not say you stole. You are asking me to leave. I am saying let us avoid problem. End of month. That is 9 days. I am sorry, my brother. You know how people talk." Niyi looked at the man. People talk. Those 2 words had removed him from Crestline before any investigation. Now they were removing him from his home. The following morning, a courier delivered his termination letter. Loss of trust. Gross misconduct. Unauthorized possession of company assets. No mention that the police had released him. No mention that the evidence had been contaminated. No invitation to defend himself. No hearing. At the bottom, Ronke had signed in blue ink. Bode had countersigned. Niyi folded the letter carefully. He wanted to tear it. Instead, he placed it inside the cleaning logbook. A week later, 3 cleaning companies rejected his applications after calling Crestline for a reference. One supervisor did not bother hiding the reason. "My brother, even if you are innocent, our clients will be uncomfortable. So innocence is not enough. Not when reputation has already entered WhatsApp." At his evening school, the administrator informed him that his outstanding fees had to be paid before he could return. "Can I have 4 more weeks?" Niyi asked. "We have already given you time. I lost my job. I am sorry. The rule is the rule." Rules had become very strong around him. Procedures had become weak. One Saturday, Niyi carried his books and clothes to a cheaper room in a crowded compound farther from the main road. His former classmates helped him with 2 bags, but did not stay long. At the bus stop on Monday, he saw a former Crestline colleague. The man noticed him and crossed the road. Niyi pretended not to see. That night, he opened the cleaning logbook. The pages were full of times, signatures, leaking pipes, broken locks, delivered cartons, and small facts nobody had respected. He turned to the entry for lot 7K4419. Then the air conditioners. Then the warehouse door opened at 2:17 a.m. What had any of it achieved? He found a metal bowl, tore out 1 blank page, and struck a match. The flame caught the corner. He held it over the bowl. A knock came at his door. Niyi ignored it. The knock came again. "Oga Niyi?" He recognized the voice. Ibrahim Bello stood outside wearing a sand-colored kaftan, darkened by rain at the shoulders. He owned Bello Route Services, one of the small logistics companies Crestline sometimes hired for emergency deliveries. Niyi had met him 6 months earlier after finding a sealed package beneath a warehouse shelf and returning it before Ibrahim Allo's driver left. "Sir, I have been looking for you." Niyi looked at the burning page in his hand. Ibrahim stepped inside and slapped the flame out with his palm. "What are you doing?" "Nothing. Do not insult me. I have eyes." Niyi picked up the charred page. "It did not help me." "What did not help you?" "This book." Ibrahim held out his hand. Niyi did not give it to him. Ibrahim sat on the only chair. "I saw the video." "Then you know what people say." "I know what people say when they want entertainment. I came to know what the records say." Niyi looked at him. "You believe me?" "I did not say that." The answer surprised him. Ibrahim continued. "I do not know you well enough to believe you, because your face looks innocent. Innocent faces steal. Rich men steal. Poor men steal. Men who pray loudly steal. Men who never enter church steal. I came because the story does not balance." "What part?" "A man planning to steal nearly 900,000. Naira does not usually keep a cancelled bank token beside confidential invoices in the cart he pushes publicly every day. That is not theft. That is theater." Niyi sat on the edge of his mattress. Ibrahim pointed to the book. "Show me." For the next 2 hours, they read every relevant entry. Ibrahim asked questions. Who signed technicians in? Which door opened at 2:17? How did Niyi know lot numbers? Why did he record the leaking air conditioner? Which staff members were present? Niyi answered without decorating anything. At the end, Ibrahim closed the book. "You are either the most disciplined thief I have met, or somebody was afraid of what you recorded." Niyi gave a tired smile. "Which one do you think?" "I think you need work." Niyi Alo's smile disappeared. "I do. My warehouse in Isolo needs an inventory clerk. I am not qualified. You studied accounting. I did not finish. You can read numbers, you can record time, you ask annoying questions. Those are qualifications in a warehouse. What is the salary?" "Less than Crestline paid you for the first 3 months." Niyi looked down. "I cannot promise more until you prove yourself. And if the accusation is true, then I will discover it through your work, not through a video edited by people who enjoy disgrace." Niyi Alo's eyes burned. He looked away before tears could gather. Ibrahim stood. "I cannot clean your name for you, but I can give you a place where your work will speak before rumors do." He placed a business card on the table. "Report, Wednesday, 7 in the morning." At the door, he turned. "And do not burn that book. One day, the people who laughed at it may need it to explain themselves." After Ibrahim left, Niyi opened his email. A new message waited in the inbox. The sender Alo's address was made of random numbers and letters. There was no greeting, only one attachment. A single invoice page from North Bay Clinical Resources. At the bottom, a bank account number was circled. Beside it, somebody had typed. The same account received payment under another vendor name. "I am sorry I did not speak." Niyi read the sentence 3 times. He knew it was Halima. He also knew an anonymous apology could not remove handcuffs from a memory. Still, he printed the page. The following Wednesday, at 6:52 a.m., he entered Bello Route Services. The warehouse was smaller than Crestline Alo's loading bay. Its paint was peeling. The barcode scanner worked only when held at an angle. 2 ceiling fans complained above rows of cartons. Ibrahim handed him a reflective vest and a clipboard. "Start with Bay 3. Niyi walked between the shelves. On the 5th pallet, he found a carton bearing a familiar name. North Bay Clinical Resources. Same address, same phone number. But the invoice attached to it named a different supplier. North Shore Hospital Solutions. Niyi carried the paper to Ibrahim. "Sir." "What?" "This vendor is connected to the company involved in my case." Ibrahim read the document. "How do you know?" "Same address, same phone number. Different name. Could be a group of companies, could be." "You do not sound convinced." "I am only saying what I see." Ibrahim looked at him for a long moment. Then he handed the paper back. "Record it." Do not accuse. Do not touch what you cannot prove. Niyi nodded. That became the first lesson of his new life. Suspicion could open a door. Only evidence could carry you through it. Niyi Allo's first month at Bello Route Services was not inspiring. It was exhausting. He resumed before 7, counted cartons until numbers blurred, corrected dispatch notes, and stayed late whenever a driver returned with damaged goods. At night, he read accounting materials on his mattress until sleep took the book from his hands. Ibrahim did not treat him like a rescued man. He treated him like an employee. When Niyi entered the wrong quantity for a shipment of laboratory coats, Ibrahim called him into the office. You recorded 247. Yes, sir. The physical count is 274. Niyi checked the paper. His stomach tightened. I transposed the figures. Why? I was tired. Will tiredness pay my customer? No, sir. Correct it. Then design a check that prevents the same mistake. Niyi expected shouting. He expected somebody to say, see. Once a thief, always careless. Ibrahim said nothing else. That absence of humiliation felt unfamiliar. Niyi returned to the warehouse and created a simple 2-step count. One person counted. Another confirmed. Any correction required initials and time. The errors dropped within 3 weeks. Then he went further. He numbered every loading bay. He introduced a dispatch register tied to vehicle plates. He created a damaged goods log with photographs. He separated the staff member who approved fuel purchases from the person who confirmed delivery. Some workers complained. This former cleaner wants to turn small warehouse into central bank, one man said. Niyi did not answer. He had learned that good systems felt insulting to people who benefited from confusion. 3 months later, he found fuel receipts showing 2 deliveries to the same truck within 40 minutes. The truck had been in Ibadan at the time. The loss was 286,400. Ibrahim called the driver and fuel coordinator into his office. Both denied wrongdoing until Niyi placed the vehicle log, receipt times, and tracking record on the table. The room became quiet. Ibrahim did not celebrate. He dismissed the coordinator after a formal hearing and recovered part of the money through a repayment agreement. Then he looked at Niyi. You see why records matter? Niyi nodded. A person may shout over your voice, Ibrahim said, but it is harder to shout over 6 independent records that agree. That evening, Ibrahim added 35,000 to Niyi Allo's salary. Niyi used the first increase to clear part of his school debt. He returned to class the following semester. Saturdays became lectures. Sundays became assignments. Weekdays remained warehouse work. There was no montage of easy success. There were missed buses, unpaid data subscriptions, and nights when he slept for 3 hours. There were months when his school fees competed with rent. There were moments he stared at the Crestline termination letter and wondered whether the company had already decided the highest place his life could reach. Each time, he opened the cleaning logbook, not because it comforted him, because it reminded him that facts could survive disgrace. 16 months after he joined Bello Route Services, Niyi completed his accounting diploma. Ibrahim attended the small ceremony in a sand-colored suit. He sat near the back and clapped once when Niyi Allo's name was called. Afterward, Niyi handed him the certificate. Ibrahim examined it. So, now you are educated? I was educated before, sir. Now I have paper. Ibrahim laughed. Good answer. Do not let paper make your brain lazy. Niyi framed the certificate beside his parents' Allo photograph, but Crestline still followed him. When Bello Route Services applied for a large hospital distribution contract, the client ran background checks on key staff. The old video appeared. The contract officer called Ibrahim privately. We are concerned about your inventory lead. Concerned about what? He was accused of theft. Was he convicted? No. Was he charged? Not according to the record. Then what are you concerned about? Reputation. Ibrahim placed the call on speaker so Niyi could hear. What proof would satisfy you? Ibrahim asked. A formal retraction from the former employer. Crestline had never issued one. The contract went to another company. Bello Route Services lost an opportunity worth 31 million. Niyi sat in Ibrahim Alao's office after the call. You should remove me from future bids, he said. Ibrahim leaned back. Why? My name is costing the company. Your work has saved this company more than your name has cost it. That may change. Then we will deal with it when it changes. Niyi stared at the floor. Ibrahim tapped the desk. Look at me. Shame works by making an innocent person remove himself before anybody asks. Do not help them complete what they started. That sentence entered Niyi Alao's life like a nail driven into wood. He stayed. During the second year, Bello Route Services expanded into medical consumables. Niyi designed a spreadsheet that matched purchase orders, supplier details, lot numbers, delivery times, and payment approvals. It was not beautiful. It worked. The system flagged North Shore Hospital Solutions because its bank account matched the anonymous North Bay invoice Halima had sent. Niyi and Ibrahim refused the shipment and reported the discrepancy to the customer. 2 weeks later, another small distributor asked whether Niyi could review its supplier records. Then another. Soon, weekends became consulting days. Niyi noticed the same patterns repeatedly. Vendors with different names shared one phone number. Companies registered to residential addresses invoiced for warehouse-scale deliveries. Lot numbers appeared twice. Payment approval and goods confirmation came from the same employee. The fraud was not always clever. It survived because everybody assumed somebody else had checked. Niyi began sketching a better system. Vendor identity, ownership links, bank account matching, delivery history, lot tracing, conflict of interest alerts. He called the idea Trace Grid. Ibrahim read the first proposal. You want software? Yes, sir. Can you build software? No. Then what do you have? A problem, I understand. That is not enough. I know. Good. Find people who know the part you do not. Niyi found 2 freelance developers through a business incubator. He paid them from his savings and a small loan Ibrahim guaranteed. The first version of TraceGrid looked plain and crashed whenever users uploaded more than 500 invoice lines. Their first client cancelled after 11 days. The second refused to pay the final invoice. The third discovered that a data entry error had incorrectly flagged an honest supplier. Niyi traveled across Lagos to apologize in person. Why should we trust a system that accused our vendor wrongly? The client demanded. You should not trust it blindly, Niyi replied. The system should show why it flagged something. A human being must review the evidence. So your software is not automatic. Judgment should not be automatic when someone Alao's livelihood is involved. The client kept the contract. That principle became part of TraceGrid Alao's design. Alerts were not verdicts. Suspicion required review. No employee could be punished because a red box appeared on a screen. Niyi knew what happened when accusation arrived before investigation. 2 years and 3 months after Crestline dismissed him, Halima sent a message from her real number. I need to speak with you. I will understand if you refuse. Niyi read it at 11:18 p.m. He did not reply until the next afternoon. Public place. Saturday, 2 p.m. They met at a quiet cafe in Yaba. Halima arrived early. She wore no makeup and carried a thick envelope. Niyi sat across from her. For several seconds, neither spoke. Halima began. I am sorry. Niyi looked at the envelope. For which part? She swallowed. For seeing Bode and Ronki near your locker. For seeing Bode closing your cart. For standing in that hall and saying, I did not see clearly. You saw clearly. Yes. You knew before they overturned the cart. Yes. You could have stopped them. I could have tried. Niyi Alo's jaw tightened. Do not reduce it. You could have spoken. Security was there. 186 people were there. You could have said, I saw them touch his cart. You watched them put handcuffs on me. Tears filled Halima Alo's eyes, but Niyi did not soften. I was afraid, she said. So was I. My mother depended on my medical support. Bode knew. My contract. I had no contract after that morning. I had no parents. I had no powerful person to call. Fear did not belong to you alone. Halima looked down. The Café Alo's generator started outside. A spoon clinked against a cup at another table. Life continued around their silence. I do not expect you to forgive me, she said. I brought records. She pushed the envelope toward him. Inside were copies of her initial audit exception report, email timestamps, vendor summaries, access requests, and the HR instruction to modify 2 incident dates. Niyi read slowly. One document showed Halima Alo's report had been received by her supervisor at 6:14 p.m. The following morning, the digital file disappeared from the audit folder. Another showed Ronka requested access to Niyi Alo's disciplinary file before the public accusation. There was also a copy of the maintenance request for the duplicate locker key. Niyi stopped on that page. This signature is hers? Yes. How did you get these? I kept copies after I realized the report had been deleted. Why wait 2 years? Halima Alo's answer came quietly. Because I was still a coward for most of the first year. Then Crestline terminated me when I refused to sign a clean audit report. I spent the second year trying to survive. That is the truth. It is not a good truth. Niyi continued reading. Can these records be verified? The email headers can. Some documents have server references. My testimony can be challenged, but I am willing to give it under oath. He closed the envelope. Why now? Because I saw your name in an article about supplier verification. I realized you were building the exact system Crestline needed, and because every month I delayed, my apology became more about making myself feel better than helping you. Niyi sat back. What do you want from me? Nothing. Everybody wants something. I want the truth recorded with my name attached to it, not anonymously. That may damage your career. It should cost me something. Niyi studied her. He remembered the conference hall, her lowered eyes, the security officers gripping his arms. He also remembered the anonymous invoice that connected North Bay to North Shore. Help given too late was still help. But it did not become courage simply because time had passed. I will not tell you I forgive you today, he said. Halima nodded. I understand. If these documents are used, they will go through a lawyer. Every date will be checked. Every claim will be challenged. I will not build my defense on emotion. That is fair. And if you join any work connected to me, you will not be promoted because you confessed. I am not asking for work, I know. I am saying it now. For the first time, Halima looked directly at him. What are you building? Niyi placed one of the vendor sheets on the table. A way to make it harder for companies to hide relationships between suppliers. Halima read the trace grid notes he showed her. She began asking questions. How would beneficial ownership be verified? What if 2 legitimate companies shared a director? How would false positives be reviewed? Who could override an alert? Would the override create an audit trail? Niyi listened. By 4:30, the apology had become a design meeting. Not forgiveness. Not friendship. Work. Halima joined TraceGrid as a contract compliance analyst 4 months later. She accepted a salary lower than her previous one and a written 1-year performance review. The company operated from 2 rooms above a printing shop. Heat entered through the windows. The internet failed whenever rain became serious. Ibrahim owned a small share after converting his loan guarantee into equity. But he refused to run the company for Niyi. "You are the one who sees the road," he said. "Drive." TraceGrid Allo's first major break came from a private hospital network that had lost 74 million through duplicate supply invoices. Niyi Allo's team linked 5 vendors to 2 bank accounts and 1 residential address. The hospital recovered part of the money and signed a 2-year contract. Then another client came. Then 3. TraceGrid hired staff. Niyi moved from spreadsheets to a secure platform with documented review steps. Every alert required evidence. Every override required a reason. Every investigation separated the person who raised the concern from the person who decided discipline. Niyi insisted cleaners, drivers, warehouse assistants, and security officers could submit observations through the same channel as managers. An investor questioned that decision. Why give low-level staff access to compliance reporting? "You will receive noise," Niyi replied. "The people closest to physical work often see the first sign of a broken process. Their job title does not reduce the quality of their eyes." The investor frowned. Niyi did not change the policy. During the 4th year, TraceGrid nearly collapsed. A software update corrupted part of a client ILO's stock history. No data was permanently lost, but the customer suspended payment. 2 other clients delayed renewals. Salaries were due in 9 days. Niyi sold the used Toyota he had bought the previous year. Halima found out when he arrived at the office by bus. "You sold your car? We need payroll. You should have told the management team. So everybody could panic, so we could decide together." Niyi Allo's face tightened. "It is my company." Halima held his gaze. "That is exactly what Bode used to say." The room became silent. Niyi Allo's first instinct was anger. Then he heard the truth inside her sentence. Power could change clothes without changing behavior. He called an emergency meeting. He disclosed the cash position, the client suspension, the sale of his car, and the options available. Senior staff agreed to defer part of their salaries. Junior staff were paid in full. The company appointed an external technical reviewer. Niyi wrote a new rule that week. No founder override without recorded justification and independent review. TraceGrid survived. The failure made the company stronger because they did not hide it. By the 5th year, TraceGrid Africa served 43 businesses across logistics, medical distribution, manufacturing, and retail. A Lagos investment fund acquired a minority stake. Ibrahim Allo's original share became valuable enough for him to retire if he wished. He did not. "I will retire when Lagos traffic retires," he said. Niyi moved his parents' Allo photograph into his office. The cleaning logbook stayed in the locked drawer beneath it. He had more money now, better clothes, a cobalt suit tailored for investor meetings, a quiet flat with 2 bedrooms. He could pay bills without counting each note twice. But he still searched hotel rooms before checking out. He still kept receipts. He still felt his body become alert whenever security officers approached. Public shame leaves after the crowd. Sometimes it continues living inside the person. Meanwhile, Crestline was rotting. Bode had been promoted to acting managing director after blaming procurement failures on former staff and market instability. Ronki remained head of human resources. Together, they removed anybody who asked too many questions. Experienced warehouse workers resigned. Internal audit lost independence. Suppliers demanded advance payment. Clinics complained about delayed deliveries and mismatched lot records. 3 months of salaries were delayed. One recalled shipment could not be traced properly because the same lot number appeared in 4 locations. Crestline Alo's lenders became nervous. When a major hospital cancelled its contract, the company missed a loan payment. The banks appointed restructuring advisors. Bode promised recovery. "We only need new capital," he told the board. "The company is fundamentally sound." The advisors disagreed. They found inventory values that did not match physical stock, vendor balances without supporting documents, and unexplained payments moving through 17 entities. The lenders required an independent forensic review. TraceGrid Africa was not appointed to conduct the investigation because Niyi Coker's past created a conflict of interest. Instead, the forensic firm licensed TraceGrid Alo's matching technology under strict oversight. Niyi did not select conclusions. He did not interview Bode. He did not touch evidence. The system compared 6 years of vendor data. The results were ugly. 17 suppliers had no meaningful operations. 8 shared bank accounts or directors. 5 used addresses connected to Bode Alo's relatives or associates. More than 1. 2 billion had moved through questionable transactions. The silver bank token found in Niyi Coker's cart had been disabled 11 days before the accusation. The cash amount matched a withdrawal Bode had signed for the previous afternoon. The duplicate key request carried Niyi Coker's signature. The disciplinary warnings were created after the alleged incidents, but backdated. Halima Coker's original report had existed on the server before deletion. Her email headers proved it. The lenders placed Crestline into a supervised restructuring process. New investors were invited to submit rescue proposals. TraceGrid led one consortium. The proposal did not promise miracles. It offered fresh capital, debt conversion, supplier verification, governance reform, and retention of operational staff not involved in wrongdoing. The consortium won after 3 rounds of review. TraceGrid Holdings and its partners acquired 68% of Crestline. Niyi became the largest voting shareholder inside TraceGrid Holdings and the controlling representative of the new majority owner. The reconstituted board appointed him Group Chief Executive Officer. On the evening the appointment letter arrived, Niyi sat alone in his office. He read the first line. "Dear Mr. Niyi Coker, not cleaner, not suspect, not former employee, Group Chief Executive Officer." He opened the bottom drawer and removed the old Crestline identity card. Ronke had cut in half after his dismissal. He had kept it after a sympathetic security officer returned his belongings. The card showed his younger face above the word "Clean Inning Scriffis." Niyi placed the new appointment letter beside it. For several minutes he felt nothing. Then his hands began to shake. Ibrahim entered without knocking. "You have read it?" Niyi nodded. "So why are you sitting like somebody died?" "Because I thought I would feel happy, and you do not. I feel angry. That is also a feeling. I keep seeing the hall." Ibrahim sat opposite him. "You are afraid of what you will do when you enter again." Niyi looked at him. "Yes. Good. Good? A man who is not afraid of misusing power is already dangerous." Niyi picked up the old identity card. "I could dismiss them in 1 minute. You could. I could make Bode stand where I stood. You could. I could let everybody laugh. You could." Niyi waited. Ibrahim leaned forward. "But if all you build is a larger chair from which to repeat their cruelty, then they still own part of you." Niyi looked at the cleaning logbook. "What should I do?" "Do what they refuse to do." "What is that?" "Follow evidence. Protect the innocent. Give even guilty people a process. Then repair what their behavior damaged." Niyi exhaled slowly. The board scheduled the public restructuring announcement for October 27, 2025. The venue was Crestline Aloe's conference hall. On the program, the incoming CEO Aloe's name appeared as Niyi Coker. Bode received the document 2 days before the event. He sat in the same office where the air conditioner no longer worked at all. Ronka stood beside him in a ruby dress. "Niyi Coker," Bode said. "Do we know this person?" Ronka scanned the page. "Maybe foreign-trained." Bode leaned back. "I once knew a Coker." Ronke Aloe's expression became careful. "The cleaner?" Bode laughed. "That one? By now he is probably stealing diesel from somebody Aloe's generator." Ronka did not laugh. She had received 3 legal preservation notices that month. The forensic auditors had requested old disciplinary files, key logs, and staff access records. She had told herself they were routine, but routine questions were becoming specific. Bode noticed her silence. "Why are you squeezing your face?" "The new owners may review old matters." "So?" They asked about Niyi Coker, Bode. Aloe's smile faded. "What did you send?" "The termination file. Only that. And the police complaint." "Good. The complaint timestamp enough, Bode." "The complaint was prepared before the search." He stood. "Do not start developing conscience when the boat has nearly reached shore." "What if Halima kept copies?" "She disappeared years ago. She works for TraceGrid." Bode froze. Ronke watched the information enter him. For the first time in 6 years, fear reached his face without permission. "What did you say?" "Halima George is listed as head of compliance operations at TraceGrid Africa." Bode grabbed the program again. Niyi Coker. The paper made a small sound in his hand. He looked at Ronka. "No." Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Outside, workers arranged chairs for the announcement. The same hall, the same doors, the same polished floor. Only the owner had changed. The morning of October 27 began with rain, not the gentle kind. Lagos rain struck roofs, flooded gutters, and held traffic by the throat. Cars crawled through Ikeja, motorcycles squeezed between them. Workers arrived at Crestline carrying wet umbrellas and rumors. Nobody knew exactly what the new owners planned. Some expected mass dismissal. Some expected unpaid salaries to disappear forever. Some believed Bode would remain in charge because he had told them so. By 8:20, 152 current employees and 34 invited guests had entered the conference hall. The number was almost the same as 6 years earlier. Niyi knew because he had asked for the attendance list. He sat inside a black vehicle 2 streets away, wearing the cobalt suit he had reserved for important meetings. The white shirt beneath it had no tie. A small gold watch rested against his wrist. On the seat beside him lay the cleaning logbook. Halima sat in the front passenger seat, reviewing a folder. "You do not have to carry the book," she said. "Yes, I do. The forensic report is enough. Report proves what they did to the company. The book proves why they first became afraid of me." Halima turned slightly. "Are you ready?" "No." She nodded. "Neither am I." That honesty settled him. At Crestline, Bode wore a dark emerald suit with a ruby tie. He moved from table to table, shaking hands as if he were hosting his own promotion. "Do not worry," he told department heads. "The investors need somebody who understands operations. I have already had preliminary discussions." No such discussions had occurred. But confidence often arrives before facts and occupies the best chair. Ronka stood near the stage in a ruby dress with black detailing. She carried 3 folders. One contained staff restructuring options. Another contained her achievements. The third contained selected disciplinary records she planned to use against employees who might blame her for past decisions. She had not slept. At 8:56, the board chair entered with lawyers, lender representatives, and 2 forensic auditors. Staff rose. Bode walked forward. "Welcome, sir." On behalf of management, the board chair shook his hand briefly and continued toward the stage. Bode Alo's smile remained in place, but it became harder. At 9:02, Halima entered. Ronke saw her first. The folders in her hands shifted. Halima wore pale teal and cream, almost the same colors she had worn 6 years earlier. This time, her shoulders were straight. Bode moved toward her. "What are you doing here?" "I was invited." "By whom?" "The owners." "You have no right to enter confidential company premises." Halima held up her visitor badge. "Legal issued this." Bode lowered his voice. "Whatever story you have sold them, remember that you signed Crestline Elo's confidentiality agreement. I also signed a professional code of ethics. You failed that code when we terminated you." "No. I failed it when I kept quiet about Niyi." Bode Alo's face changed. Ronke stepped between them. "This is not the place." Halima looked around the hall. "It is exactly the place." At 9:07, the main doors opened again. Niyi walked in. The first people to recognize him were not Bode or Ronk. They were the cleaning staff, standing near the back wall. One woman looked at his face, then at the old orange Crestline identity card, clipped to the outside of the logbook he carried. Her mouth opened. A former warehouse supervisor whispered, "Is that not the cleaner?" The words moved through the hall. The cleaner, Niyi Coker, the thief. No, the one police released. "What is he doing here?" Bode turned. For a moment, time lost its movement. Niyi saw the same stage, the same front row, the same patch of marble where dirty water had spread around his shoes. He heard Ronke Alo's slap inside his memory. He felt security hands on his arms. He saw Halima lowering her eyes. His chest tightened. Then he looked at the cleaning staff near the back. They were watching him with the careful fear of people who had never seen somebody in their uniform become powerful without first denying the uniform. Niyi walked forward. Bode blocked his path. "What kind of nonsense is this?" Niyi stopped. "Good morning, Mr. Adebayo." Bode looked at the cobalt suit, then at the logbook. Recognition fought with denial. He chose contempt. "Remove that former cleaner," he shouted toward security. "He has already stolen enough from this company." The room inhaled. 2 security officers stood near the doors. Neither moved. Bode pointed more sharply. "Did you not hear me? Throw him out." The head of legal stepped from beside the stage. "Mr. Adebayo, stand down." Bode stared at him. "Stand down. This man is a terminated employee with a theft record. He has no theft record. He was arrested here. He was detained and released without charge." Bode looked around, searching for obedience. It was no longer there. He grabbed Niyi Alo's arm. The head of legal removed his hand. "Do not touch the incoming group chief executive officer." The sentence landed without noise. For 1 second, nobody reacted, because the meaning was too large to enter all at once. Then a woman in the second row dropped her pen. Ronke Al's fingers loosened around her folders. Bode laughed. It was a dry, broken sound. "What did you say?" The board chair stepped to the microphone. "Please take your seats." Nobody sat. He repeated it. Slowly, chairs moved. Bode remained standing in the aisle. The board chair opened a document. Following the court-supervised restructuring process, TraceGrid Holdings and its consortium partners have acquired 68% of Crestline Medical Distribution, PLC. Mr. Niyi Coker is the controlling representative of the majority shareholder and has been appointed Group Chief Executive Officer with immediate effect. A glass slipped from Ronke Alo's hand. It struck the table and broke. The sound was smaller than the slap she had given Niyi. Yet everyone heard it. Bode turned toward Niyi. No, Niyi said nothing. "This is fraud," Bode continued. "Some kind of revenge arrangement. A cleaner cannot walk away and return as owner of a company like Crestline." Niyi finally spoke. I did not walk away and return the following week, Mr. Adebayo. 6 years passed. You expect us to believe you bought this company. A consortium acquired it after an open restructuring process involving lenders, investors, lawyers, and independent advisors. I built the company leading that consortium. You built what? TraceGrid Africa. Bode Allo's face emptied. He knew the name. Every forensic request on his desk carried it. Niyi continued. I did not inherit Crestline. I did not win it in a lottery. I did not discover a rich father hiding somewhere. I worked in warehouses. I finished school. I built systems. I failed. I corrected them. I raised capital. I answered questions you never believed a cleaner could understand. A murmur moved through the staff. Niyi lifted the logbook. And it started with this. Bode looked at the notebook as if it were a weapon. Ronka whispered, Niyi, perhaps we should discuss old matters privately. He turned to her. Was my accusation private? Ronki Allo's mouth closed. Was the money dropped in my cart privately? Was your slap private? Was the video private? She looked away. Niyi walked to the stage and placed the cleaning logbook on the table. The board chair invited him to speak. Niyi faced the hall. 6 years earlier, he had stood there with no microphone. Now every speaker waited for his voice. He took a breath. Before we discuss the future of Crestline, we must tell the truth about why the company nearly collapsed. This is not a revenge ceremony. Nobody will be convicted because I am angry. Nobody will be humiliated because the crowd wants entertainment. Evidence has been reviewed independently. The people affected will receive due process. Bode folded his arms. Then why bring a cleaning notebook to a corporate restructuring meeting? Niyi looked at him. Because this company first found evidence of its corruption in the hands of somebody it considered too small to listen to. The screen behind him came alive. The first image showed a page from the logbook. May 9, 2019. 2 air conditioning units delivered. Not 6. Niyi explained how an invoice recorded payment for 6 replacements. He did not dramatize. He stated dates, amounts, and verification sources. The next slide showed the duplicate glove lot number, 7K4419. 3 deliveries, 1 physical batch. The next showed the warehouse door opened at 2:17 a.m. Bode Allo's access card had entered the building. No approved delivery existed. Bode raised his hand. This proves nothing. I was managing company work. The forensic auditor stood. The access data is not presented alone. It corresponds with vendor invoices, vehicle records, bank transfers, and inventory discrepancies. Bode turned toward the board. You are allowing a disgruntled former worker to create a story from routine operations. Niyi clicked to the next slide. North Bay Clinical Resources, North Shore Hospital Solutions, Bay North Health Logistics. Different names, related addresses, connected phone numbers, shared bank accounts. The screen displayed a network map linking 17 entities. Some staff gasped. The forensic auditor spoke again. These relationships were independently verified through corporate registration data. Bank confirmations obtained under lawful authority, delivery records, beneficial ownership checks, and supplier interviews. The estimated questionable outflow is over 1.2 billion naira. Bode Allo's forehead shone. Estimated, he said, not proven. Correct, Niyi replied. That is why the matter has been referred for investigation. We are not replacing process with accusation. The sentence struck harder because Bode understood its target. Niyi changed the slide. A photograph of the silver bank token appeared. Asset number, cancellation date, June 6, 2019. Public discovery date, June 17, 2019. 11 days. The hall became very quiet. Niyi spoke without looking at Bode. This token could not authorize any payment when it was found in my cleaning cart. Finance records show it had been disabled and replaced. Bode said, "A thief may not know a token is disabled. That is possible." Bode seemed relieved by the concession. Niyi clicked again. A cash withdrawal form filled the screen. Amount: 873,500. Date: June 16, 2019. Authorized recipient: Bode Adebayo. Signature verified. Niyi looked at him. "The exact cash found in my cart was withdrawn under your signature the previous afternoon." Bode Alo's arms fell to his sides. That money was for emergency procurement. Where is the retirement document? The process was interrupted by the theft. Which purchase required the cash? I do not remember after 6 years. The supporting memo was created 3 days after my arrest. Bode Alo's mouth opened. No answer came. Niyi changed the slide. The duplicate locker key request appeared. Employee: Niyi Coker. Reason: chemical safety inspection. Requested by Ronke Balagun. Ronke stood suddenly. Human resources may request access for safety. Was a safety inspection conducted? Niyi asked. I do not remember. Was any chemical incident reported? No. But did you inform me that my locker would be opened? Our policies allow. Did you? Ronke looked at the room. No. The key was collected at 4:18 p.m. on June 16. The after-hours security register shows you returned with Mr. Adebayo at 9:03. Camera recording stopped at 8:56. A maintenance ticket was opened at 10:11. Ronke gripped the back of a chair. The camera failed. That is possible, Niyi said, which is why the conclusion does not rely on camera failure alone. He clicked again. The police complaint appeared, prepared at 7:30 a.m. Public discovery at 8:13 a.m. 43 minutes before the cart was overturned. A sound moved through the crowd. Not a gasp this time. Anger. Bode pointed at Ronke. She prepared Human Resources' documents. Asked her. Ronke stared at him. You told me what to write. I gave you no such instruction. You dictated the offenses. Can you prove that? The speed of betrayal surprised nobody who understood cowardice. Niyi watched them turn on each other. 6 years earlier, they had stood side by side while he stood alone. Now the evidence had entered the space between them. Ronke faced the board. I followed management direction. Bode said funds were missing. He said Niyi had copied invoices. He said immediate action was necessary. Niyi opened one of the documents from her folder. Mrs. Balagun, these false disciplinary warnings carry your signature. Ronke Al's voice shook. He instructed me. The system metadata shows both warnings were created after the dates they claimed to document. You backdated them. I was under pressure. You wrote that I admitted entering the archive. I was told. You wrote that I threatened a manager in a meeting that never happened. I was protecting my job. The words left her before she could stop them. Silence followed. Niyi Alo's face did not change. So was I, he said. The difference is that you protected yours by destroying mine. Ronke sat down. Halima rose from the side of the hall. Every head turned. She walked to the stage carrying her folder. My name is Halima George. In 2019, I was an internal audit assistant at Crestline. Bode shouted. You were terminated for misconduct. The board chair raised a hand. Mr. Adebayo, you will have an opportunity to respond. Do not interrupt. Halima placed her documents beside the logbook. On June 16, I saw Mr. Adebayo and Mrs. Balagun near the cleaners' aloe lockers. On June 17, before the public accusation, I saw Mr. Adebayo closing Niyi Coker Aloe's cleaning cart. The cleaning staff at the back whispered among themselves. Halima continued. When Niyi asked me publicly whether I had seen anybody near his cart, I said I did not see clearly. That was false. I was afraid of losing my contract and the medical support my mother depended on. She paused. Her next words came more slowly. I did not plant the evidence. but my silence helped the lie survive. Niyi watched her. He did not rescue her from the discomfort. Accountability required staying inside the truth after it became painful. Halima displayed the original audit report, email headers, vendor exceptions, and server references. The forensic auditor confirmed the documents had been authenticated. Bode laughed again, but desperation had entered the sound. This is a coordinated revenge. A former cleaner and a bitter ex-employee created a company, bought access to old data, and came here to perform morality. Niyi folded his hands on the lectern. Trace Grid did not conduct the forensic investigation. You supplied the software, under independent oversight. The conclusions were made by the forensic firm, lenders, and legal advisors. You benefited from the company Aloe's distress. We invested new capital into a company your management brought to distress. You think a blue suit can remove where you came from? Niyi looked down at the cobalt fabric. No, Bode stepped into the aisle. You are still that cleaner? Niyi lifted his eyes. Yes. The answer confused him. Niyi continued. I am still the man who cleaned this floor. I am still the man who emptied the bowl under your leaking air conditioner. I am still the man who counted the cartons you believed I was too foolish to understand. There is no shame in that work. He pointed toward the cleaning staff. The shame belongs to people who believe another person Aloe's labor makes them less human. A cleaner near the back began to clap. One clap, then another. The board chair raised a hand before applause could become spectacle. This is not a rally. We will complete the proceedings. Niyi nodded in agreement. Bode Aloe's face twisted. He walked toward the stage. What do you want? He demanded. You want me to kneel? Is that it? You want everybody to see the powerful Bode Adebayo begging the cleaner? Before anyone could stop him, Bode dropped to his knees. The hall erupted in whispers. He lifted both hands. Niyi, let us settle this as men. I made mistakes. You have proved your point. Do not hand me to enemies who want to destroy me. Niyi stepped away from the lectern and stood before him. For one instant, the picture was exactly what revenge wanted. Bode below, Niyi above, the crowd watching. Niyi remembered Ronke shouting, kneel down and confess. He could have repeated it. He could have allowed the cameras. He could have tasted the same power. Instead, he said, stand up. Bode looked confused. Stand up, Mr. Adebayo. You will forgive me. I said stand. Bode rose slowly. Niyi Aloe's voice carried through the hall. Accountability is not humiliation. I do not need your knees. This company needs the truth. Nobody clapped. The sentence did not ask for applause. It asked everyone to examine themselves. Niyi returned to the microphone. The reconstituted board has reviewed the preliminary forensic findings. Mr. Bode Adebayo is suspended with immediate effect, pending disciplinary proceedings and external investigation. The relevant records have been preserved and referred through lawful channels. Bode turned toward the exit. The head of legal stopped him. You may leave after receiving the suspension notice and surrendering company devices. Bode looked at the security officers. This time, they moved, not to drag him, to escort him through a documented process. Niyi continued. Mrs. Ronk Balagan is also suspended with immediate effect pending an independent disciplinary hearing. Her access to employee records is revoked. Ronka began crying. I have worked here for 14 years. Niyi looked at her. I worked here for 18 months. It took one morning for you to remove my livelihood without a hearing. You will receive the hearing you denied me. She covered her mouth. Niyi lifted another document. The company hereby withdraws the allegation that Niyi Coker stole funds or company assets. A formal retraction will be sent to every organization that received Crestline Arlo's adverse reference. The termination record will state that the dismissal was wrongful and unsupported by a fair investigation. He paused. Then he read the next item. Every employee disciplined under procedures controlled by Mrs. Balogun during the relevant period may request an independent review. This includes former employees. A man in the third row began to cry quietly. He had been dismissed 4 years earlier, for inventory shortages later blamed on him. Niyi saw him but did not call attention to his tears. Dignity also meant allowing a person to break, without turning the moment into public content. The board chair invited questions. A warehouse worker stood. "Sir, will the new owners sack everybody?" "No," Niyi said. "Jobs will be reviewed based on operational need and individual conduct, not collective punishment." "What about unpaid salary?" another person asked. "Funds have been reserved to clear 2 months within 7 business days. The remaining month will be paid according to the restructuring schedule already agreed with employee representatives." A cleaner raised her hand from the back. Nobody had asked her name when arranging the hall. "Sir, will contract cleaners remain with the outsourcing company?" Niyi looked at the back row. "Please come forward." The woman hesitated. "All cleaning staff," Niyi said. "Come and sit in the empty front seats." People turned. Some managers shifted uncomfortably as 15 cleaners walked down the aisle in orange and navy uniforms. 6 years earlier, Niyi had stood apart in the same colors. Now he waited while every cleaner took a seat. Then he answered, "The outsourcing contracts will be reviewed. Every worker performing regular duties at Crestline will receive written terms, safety equipment, proper insurance coverage, and access to an independent grievance channel. No employee will be identified only by a number. Every person will have a name on their badge." The woman nodded slowly. "Thank you, sir." Niyi smiled. "My name is Niyi. Sir is optional." A small laugh moved through the room. It was the first gentle sound of the morning. When the meeting ended, employees remained seated. They had entered expecting an announcement and witnessed an old lie collapse under its own documents. Bode surrendered his laptop and phone in a side office. He signed receipt forms with a hand that no longer looked steady. Ronke sat alone near the broken glass until legal staff asked her to follow them. As she stood, one folder fell open. A document slid across the floor. Niyi saw his name at the top. "The Saka Mastermind Pharmacosm Fraud." He picked it up. The report was dated only 2 months earlier. It alleged that Niyi had created the original vendor scheme before leaving Crestline and later founded TraceGrid to conceal his involvement. Attached were selected copies of his old cleaning notes, rearranged to suggest planning rather than observation. Ronkealo's face collapsed. "Niyi, I did not finish that report." "Who requested it?" She looked toward the side office where Bodhi waited. "He did." "When?" "After the lenders began asking questions. What was the purpose?" "To place responsibility on you if the company failed." Niyi read the first page again. Even after 6 years, they were still preparing to use the poor cleaner as a shield. Not because the story was believable, because they assumed people would prefer a familiar accusation to a difficult investigation. The head of legal took the document and placed it in an evidence envelope. Niyi watched the seal close. He felt no triumph, only clarity. Clearing his own name was not enough. A system that could manufacture one thief could manufacture another. That afternoon, Niyi entered Bodialo's former office for the first time as CEO. The air conditioner had finally been replaced. The room was cold, too cold. He turned it down. On the desk sat a framed company value statement. Integrity, service, respect. Niyi read the words. Then he called Halima and Ibrahim inside. "We are not finished," he said. Halima placed her folder on the table, What do you want reviewed first? Everything that allowed this to happen. Ibrahim looked around the office. Everything is a large place. Then we start with one process. Which one? Niyi opened the cleaning logbook to the page where he had recorded the duplicate glove lot. The way this company decides whose observation matters. Outside the glass wall, workers were lifting the old Crestline logo from reception. It did not come down easily. The adhesive had held for years. So had the lie. The work after the reveal was slower than the reveal itself. Truth can enter a hall in one morning. Repair takes longer. During Niyi Coker's first week as CEO, Crestline received 412 emails from current and former employees. Some contained genuine complaints. Some contained anger without evidence. Some were attempts to settle old personal fights now that management had changed. Niyi refused to turn every accusation into punishment. He appointed an independent review panel made up of external labor advisors, compliance professionals, and one employee representative elected by staff. Neither Niyi nor Halima could decide cases involving their own history. Why remove yourself? A board member asked. 'Cause personal experience gives me insight, Niyi replied. It also gives me bias. Both can be true. The review panel began with the most serious files. Dismissals for theft, warnings issued without hearings, employees accused after reporting missing stock, disciplinary records signed by the same managers who were subjects of complaints. The patterns were not dramatic on paper. That was what made them dangerous. A date changed here, a witness left out there. A phrase like loss of trust used where evidence did not exist. By the end of the first month, 11 former employees had their records corrected. 4 were offered reinstatement. 3 declined and accepted compensation instead. 2 cases remained unresolved because evidence pointed in more than one direction. Niyi did not force a clean ending where facts were dirty. Not every former employee was innocent. Not every manager had acted maliciously. Justice required enough discipline to accept complexity. The external investigation into Bodialo's conduct continued for months. Bank records linked payments from supplier accounts to properties held through associates. Several invoices described goods that never entered Crestline Aloe's warehouses. Other goods had entered once and been invoiced repeatedly. Bode denied directing the network. Then he blamed vendors. Then he blamed former finance staff. Then he claimed his signatures had been copied. Independent handwriting analysis and digital approval logs contradicted him. The matter proceeded through legal channels. Assets connected to the questionable transactions were restrained where the law permitted. Through court orders and negotiated recovery, part of the lost funds returned to Crestline and its creditors. Niyi attended only the hearings where his testimony was required. He did not sit in front for satisfaction. He did not post Bodialo's face online. He did not send cameras to follow him. One afternoon, a journalist asked Niyi outside the courthouse, "How does it feel to watch the man who called you a thief face fraud charges?" Niyi stopped beneath the concrete shade. "It feels serious," he said. "Not satisfying. Accountability is not a football match. Employees lost salaries. Suppliers lost contracts. Patients depended on some of the goods affected. If I reduce this to one man's suffering, I have learned nothing." The journalist tried again. "But this is personal for you." "Yes. That is why I must be careful." The clip spread online. This time, the full sentence traveled farther than the old accusation. Ronke Aloe's disciplinary hearing lasted 3 days. She arrived with a lawyer and a box of records. Unlike the meeting she had denied Niyi, her hearing included written allegations, evidence disclosure, time to respond, and the right to challenge witnesses. She admitted backdating documents, She admitted requesting the duplicate locker key. She admitted preparing the police complaint before the public search. She maintained that Bode had pressured her. The panel accepted that pressure existed. It did not accept that pressure erased choice. Ronke was dismissed for serious misconduct. As part of a legal settlement, she provided all remaining records, issued signed corrections to false references, and agreed to cooperate with related proceedings. She was prohibited from holding any role at Crestline or accessing employee data. The panel also required her to complete a professional ethics and workplace accountability program before Crestline would confirm her cooperation to any future employer requesting a reference. Some employees wanted more. "Send her to clean the toilets," one man said during lunch. "Let her know how it feels." Niyi heard him. "No." The man turned. "Sir, cleaning toilets is honest work. It is not a punishment for bad character." The canteen became quiet. Niyi continued walking. That sentence later appeared on the notice board, copied in somebody Alo's handwriting. Cleaning is work, not humiliation. Halima Alo's future created another difficult question. Some directors wanted to make her chief compliance officer immediately because she had provided critical evidence. Niyi refused. She was useful, one investor argued. She knows the company and helped expose the fraud. She also stayed silent when speaking could have stopped a wrongful accusation, Niyi said. She admitted it. Admission is the beginning of accountability, not the end. Halima agreed. She entered a 12-month monitored role under an external compliance advisor. She could investigate systems, but she could not decide disciplinary outcomes alone. Her performance review included a specific measure, whether junior employees felt safe raising concerns around her. At first, some staff avoided her. They knew her history. Halima did not demand trust. She held weekly open sessions. She documented every concern. When she did not know an answer, she said so. When a cleaner reported that a supervisor was storing hazardous chemicals beside food supplies, Halima visited the room herself and escalated it the same day. Small actions began repairing what one large silence had broken. After 9 months, the review found that employees across grades trusted her reporting process. She was promoted 1 level, not 3. Niyi signed the letter. "Congratulations," he said. "Halima, read it." "You are still not carrying me on your head." "No." "Good," she smiled. Their relationship remained built on work, honesty, and boundaries. There was no sudden romance waiting to reward either of them. Some wounds become partnerships, others become lessons. Not every emotional connection must become marriage before it has value. Crestline Alo's reform moved through every department. Procurement selection was separated from payment approval. No manager could create a vendor, confirm delivery, and authorize payment. Supplier ownership had to be disclosed and verified. Every override left a permanent audit trail. Physical evidence in workplace investigations required photographs, seals, timestamps, and a record of every person who handled it. Employees accused of misconduct received the allegation in writing and time to respond. Anonymous complaints were reviewed, but anonymity alone did not make an allegation true. Retaliation against a whistleblower triggered an external review. Niyi insisted that training include security officers, cleaners, drivers, reception staff, and warehouse assistants. One senior manager objected. "Do we need cleaners inside risk identification training? Their job is sanitation." Niyi looked at him across the boardroom table. "My first observation of Crestline Alo's fraud came while emptying water beneath an air conditioner." The manager said nothing else. The new reporting portal allowed any staff member to submit a concern by voice note, written message, or paper form. Employees did not need corporate language. They needed facts. What happened? Where? When? Who else may have seen it? What record could confirm it? Niyi called the program eyes at every level. Within 6 months, a driver reported that a supplier repeatedly asked him to sign delivery notes before loading. The concern uncovered an invoicing scheme worth $9.4 million. A cleaner noticed labels being removed from returned cartons and placed on new ones. Her report prevented expired stock from re-entering distribution. A security officer questioned why one contractor entered the warehouse using 3 different company names. The vendor relationship was suspended pending review. None of those employees became overnight celebrities. They received recognition, protection, and fair compensation. That was enough. Niyi also reviewed the outsourcing arrangement for cleaning staff. Crestline could not absorb every worker immediately without breaking contracts and labor obligations, so the transition happened in stages. All workers received written terms within 30 days. Protective equipment became mandatory. Health coverage began after the next renewal cycle. Wages moved from irregular cash envelopes to verified bank payments. Every identity badge displayed a name. No more Cleaner 12. No more Security 7. Names. On the first morning the new badges were issued, Niyi stood near reception as workers collected them. A woman in an orange polo held hers up and smiled. Her name was printed clearly beneath her photograph. "Sir," she said, "it is small, but it feels different." Niyi understood. It is not small. He created the Dignity at Work Fund, with the compensation Crestline Alo's lawyers calculated for his wrongful dismissal. He refused to receive the money personally from a company he now controlled. The fund paid evening school fees for workers whose education had been interrupted, offered basic legal advice in workplace disputes, and supported vocational certification for cleaners, drivers, and warehouse staff. The first group contained 31 participants. One studied bookkeeping, another studied refrigeration repair. 3 trained in occupational safety. A security officer enrolled in data analysis after years of recording vehicle numbers by hand. Niyi attended their orientation, but did not make a speech about saving anybody. He told them, "This fund is not charity. It is an investment in people whose potential was mistaken for their current job title." Ibrahim sat in the back wearing burgundy and sand. After the event, he walked with Niyi through the car park.
"So, Oga CCO, have you finally won?"
Niyi smiled. "You like difficult questions. I trained under an annoying inventory clerk." They stopped beside Ibrahim Alo's old pickup truck. He still refused to replace it. Niyi looked at the Crestline building. The new sign carried both names. Crestline, a trace grid holdings company. "I used to think winning would be seeing Bode lose his office," Niyi said. "And now? Now I think winning is making sure nobody else can lose everything, because a powerful person shouted first." Ibrahim nodded. "That answer is expensive." "What do you mean?" "It took you 6 years to buy it." Niyi laughed softly. 1 year after the acquisition, Crestline returned to operating profit. More importantly, its stock records could trace every controlled lot from supplier to customer. Salaries were paid on time. 2 major hospital groups renewed contracts after independent audits confirmed the reforms. The company did not become perfect. No company does. A manager still tried to hide a conflict of interest. A warehouse worker still stole items and received a fair hearing before dismissal. A whistleblower once made a false report to damage a colleague and faced consequences after evidence proved the lie. The point was not that poor employees were always innocent or senior employees always corrupt. The point was that position could not replace proof. One Thursday evening, Niyi stayed after most staff had left. The building sounded the way it had during his night shifts years earlier. Lift cables hummed. Fluorescent lights buzzed. A distant bucket rolled over a tile joint. He left the executive floor and walked toward the old supply room. The door was open inside. New shelves held labeled chemicals. Safety instructions were fixed to the wall. Gloves and masks were stored in sealed containers. Niyi stood where locker 27 used to be. The lockers had been replaced during renovation, but he could still locate the exact spot. He remembered the Gary packet, the accounting textbook, the duplicated key turning inside the lock. He remembered everything they had tried to place inside his name. A young cleaner entered, saw him, and stopped. "Good evening, sir. Good evening. Hope no problem." Niyi smiled at the old Nigerian question. "No problem. I was remembering something." The cleaner pointed to the logbook in Niyi's hand. "Is that the famous book?" "Famous? They told us about it during training." "What did they say?" "That one cleaner used ordinary notes to discover what directors could not see." Niyi shook his head. Directors could see. Some chose not to look. The young man considered this. "Can I see it?" Niyi handed him the book. The cleaner turned the pages carefully. "Your handwriting was better then, sir." Niyi laughed. "That is because I was not signing 200 documents every week." The young man returned the book. "Sometimes people still ignore us." "I know. What should we do?" "Record facts. Use the reporting channel. Ask for a reference number. Keep copies where policy allows. Do not exaggerate. Do not accuse without evidence. And never believe your observation is useless because of your uniform." The cleaner nodded. Then he pushed his cart away. Niyi entered the supply room alone. He opened the logbook to the final blank page. For a moment, he listened to the building. No applause. No cameras. No enemy kneeling. Only work continuing after the drama had ended. He wrote, "A clean floor can still hide dirty hands. That is why honest records must never be treated as the voice of a small person." He added the date. October 29, 2026, 8:47 p.m. Then he closed the book. As he walked toward reception, the evening cleaning team entered through the main doors, not through the loading bay, not through the narrow staff entrance hidden behind the building. The main doors. Each worker tapped a badge carrying a name. The glass opened. They passed Niyi one by one. "Good evening, sir." "Good evening, Niyi." "Good evening, Oga." He greeted every person back. Outside, Lagos traffic pressed along the wet road. Horns argued. Hawkers called. A bus conductor shouted for passengers. Life remained noisy, unequal, and unfinished. But inside Crestline, one thing had changed. A uniform no longer decided whose truth could enter the room. From my own point of view, the worst thing stolen inside Crestline was not the money. Money can be traced, recovered, or earned again. What they truly stole from Niyi was his name, his chance to be heard, and 6 years he had to spend proving that poverty was not a confession. A uniform tells us what work a person is doing today. It does not reveal the size of their mind, the honesty of their heart, or where discipline may carry them tomorrow. Before we condemn a cleaner, driver, guard, clerk, manager, or CEO, we must investigate fairly. We must separate suspicion from proof, and we must remember that dignity is not a reward given by rich people to those beneath them. It belongs to every human being. The door opened once more. Niyi stepped into the Lagos night, carrying the old cleaning logbook beneath his arm. This time, nobody stopped him.